All right, guys. So, welcome back. Today we are diving in the topic of AI, right? And the future of work and how it is replacing jobs and how you can kind of tackle this. You could call it a problem or a new opportunity, right? So let's start by being real about AI and what it is, right? It is replacing jobs. Like it is not hype. This is not a trend. It is a fact. This is a shift in the economy and then shift in opportunities of jobs. And there are going to be certain jobs that are going to be lost. You know, a lot of the mundane uh, work that a lot of companies are paid to do are going to lose those opportunities to make that money because of AI, right? But it's not the end of work. It's a shift of work. It's a tool to be utilized, right? And the goal isn't to fear AI. It's learning how to work with it like a business partner, right? Someone that is kind of like your mentor and is guiding you, that has your back constantly. So in this video, we'll break it down. What's changing, what's safe, and how to adapt before it is too late, before you miss that train. Because if you do, it'll be detrimental to your business. Okay? So, what jobs are at risk? Okay? Now, we said this earlier. Repetitive tasks, mundane tasks, such as data entry, customer support, telemarketing. Right? These jobs are obviously done by humans, but they are incredibly mundane, right? They are important, especially to businesses, especially like data entry, gathering data, inputting data. It is an incredibly important task, but is no longer needed to be performed by a human being, right? Next is our administrative tasks, scheduling, basic reporting, and transcription. This can be all done back end while you're sleeping. There is no need for an administrative hire anymore. If we go into the retail and service industry, checkouts, order takers, call handling. This, again, can all be done by a voice agent, right? That is prompted specifically to handle this certain specific situation perfectly without it getting tired, right? Without it ever needing to sleep and works 24/7 around the clock. Now, why is this? Okay? It's because AI is fast. It is extremely fast. It's also scalable and it never sleeps. Like I said, 24/7 around the clock. So this is a tool for efficiency as well. So let's cover what jobs are safe, right? And that are thriving. Anything that is human centric, right? Anything that's got to do with human emotion or essentially anything that requires emotion to make a decision or craft an idea, right? So human centric, such as therapists, teachers, and coaches, right? Now, therapists deal with your emotion and they use human psychology tricks. I wouldn't say tricks, but methods to help you, right? They have a specific way of putting that certain topic. Now, you can train an AI to do this, but only on one topic. The human brain has the ability to adapt extremely fast, right? Teachers, AI can still give you a bunch of information, but teachers for kids and universities or whatever it may be, right, use human emotion to adapt to who they're teaching to. Coaches, right? Same thing. You can get a blueprint, let's say for a fitness coach, you can get a blueprint of a fitness plan and a food plan, right? A meal prep plan. But that AI isn't going to keep you accountable, right? That AI isn't going to keep you in check. Again, human emotion, right? Next is our strategy and creativity industries, marketing, branding, storytelling. Like you can use AI to help these, right? But again, it requires human emotion, right? Relationship driven. The rest of them, you can kind of get what I'm going at, right? Sales, consulting, and leadership. That is, person to person, one on one, right? AI enhanced, prompt engineers, people that actually design the AI that we use every single day now are going to have an increase on how do I say, going to have an increase in their value and their need to be in this position because of what they can do, right? The demand for AI is going to go up, and these guys are going to be paid very handsomely for it. Prompt engineers is a very difficult task. Automation specialists, AI trainers, right? These guys are what is going to actually build this ecosystem, right? So, safe equals what? Like I've said, jobs that require emotion, trust, vision, or adaptation, right? There's only so far, there's only a certain extent you can actually train an AI to perform, right? So how do we stay ahead of this curve, right? How do we still make money? How do we still take a 10-year business, right, and adapt it to new day business? How can we use this tool to make any business in today thrive, right? Well, start learning, for starters, how to use AI tools in your current role. Okay? Now, let's say you are a personal assistant for a big CEO, right? Your job is what? Taking calls, organizing your CEO's day, making sure that things are communicated properly, etc., 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 right? You could learn, excuse me, you could learn how to automate their bookings for their meetings, right? Which makes your job easier, more efficient, and less human error, right? That's an example. So I think the key here is to think like a builder, right? Ask the question to yourself, how can I create these systems and not just follow them? How can I take this tool and make my life and my job 10 times easier and more valuable to the person I'm working for or the company I am running, right? So, what areas can we upskill in, right? We can learn automation, right, through Zapier, Make.com, and learning your Python coding basics, right, to build these workflows and understand how the ecosystem and infrastructure of these systems work, right? How do I get a booking to automatically book itself without me needing to interfere? And how do I make sure it has no errors, right? Next one is like no code and low code tools, right? I run a tech company, right? I don't know jack shit about coding. I never had interest in it. I do not, quite frankly, have the patience to it. I'm not that kind of person, right? But there are softwares like VoiceFlow, Software Bubble, Make.com, Zapier that do not require code or general Google integrations. These don't require code, but it requires an understanding of systemized workflows, right? Now, the next skill is AI and human synergy. Now, I call this a skill because a lot of people are not using human synergy or human decision and AI as one, right? They use it as separate entities, right? So, for example, prompt design, right? You are training an agent to perform a certain task. Now, what you can do is an AI can't replicate human emotion, right? But you can feed it certain information to understand how words are formatted and constructed in a certain emotion, right? So if you want a salesy agent to qualify leads, right, and you want to have a certain persona through word or voice, it will be able to replicate that because you are the one that has that emotion. You know what it sounds like, you know what it looks like, and you can train it on one specific thing, right? It doesn't have adaptation, so it can't switch like this. It will have one specific role and duty, right? We're going to go into the tools you can learn today, right? Let's start with step one. How can we get into the space, right? ChatGPT, as we all know and probably love, right? For content, planning, for creative ideation, right? Now the ideas are yours, but you can tell that to ChatGPT and go, what other things could I do? What other ideas? And it can create sparks for those ideas so you can build on that, right? Planning, very simple. Roadmaps. ChatGPT is amazing for that, right? You have a bunch of shit that you have to do, blah, 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 blah. You write all of it. You're like, listen. And you can even set up priority thermometers, right? So what is your most prioritized task that you need to get done? And it'll be able to plan that for you and break it down so you can process it easy, right? Content ideas, right? I can tell you now, this video, I use ChatGPT. I'm like, dude, listen, I explain my entire business. I'm like, how do I provide the utmost free, valuable education? And this was one of the subjects, right? I got an idea and I wrote it and I made a nice PDF and now I'm recording, right? Vecflow, which is my company, right? For voice agents and business automation, right? Now, I'm not saying you need to sign up to my company, but do something that I'm doing, very similar to that, right? You can watch some of my videos, but the whole back end, right, of learning these workflows, I'm giving away for free. I've actually got a free community in WOP, which I'll leave down below, where I just give free value. It's a general discussion. It's an idea, and I just talk. I give my 2 cents, right? Whether you take value from that or not, I don't know. But you see where I'm getting it, right? Next tool is Zapier or Make.com. Two very similar softwares, right? They build automations. Some have a little bit more, how do I say, leniency to one action than another. That's for you to figure out. But to build workflows, you're using one of the two most likely, or using both. I currently use both as well. Right. Now, if we're going to organizing ideas and systemizing things, you can use things like Notion or Airtable or even WOP. There's a bunch of infrastructure on these platforms that will allow you to plan and organize your ideas so that you can execute on them as fast as possible, right? So where can you learn all this, right? Free resources. This is how I got started. YouTube, MOOCs, right? Twitter threads, Discord groups, WOP groups, like my own, my free education group, right? These are places you can learn from, right? And get the basics, because everybody has a different perspective on how building these things work. So be like a sponge. Really just take all of this information and put it in one, right? Make it your own, right? No automation or company is going to be the same, especially in this world of AI and automation, right? So let's talk mindset, right? How can we shift from an employee to a creator, right? So what do we first think of, right? Don't just think, how do I keep my job, right? Because then you're going to fail. You're going to think of, I need to do more work. People are not looking for more work. They're looking for more systems to boost efficiency. How can I get one job done quicker and produce the same, or if not more, plus outcome, whether it be increased profit revenue or just efficiency, right? So how can I make that end result? How can I make it better, right? So what we can think is, how can we create more value than AI ever could, right? So we take AI and we harmonize with it to create something, an ecosystem, an infrastructure that is so powerful that you yourself become so valuable because you learned these set of skills, right? And they're probably going to need to find someone else that can build it, which not a lot of people are doing, right? So AI can generate, right? So it generates, it spits out, right? You ask, it delivers, right? but you can connect, lead, imagine, and adapt. That's something AI cannot do, right? You can connect two people. You can lead a group of people and inspire them. You can create a new idea while laying in bed at night while your mind races and you're imagining how that will play out. And you can adapt to situations. This is not what AI can do. So it's about creating that harmony between AI and human emotion and thoughts, right? So be the one who uses AI and not be the one that's replaced by it. Adapt, right? This is something we can do, right? To learn these skills. So what are my final thoughts, right? And what could I do to put this plan into action, right? Well, firstly, we need to recognize that AI is not the enemy, right? Enemy. Stagnation, staying still, staying in one place, being too comfortable in your situation. That's the enemy, right? Now, in order to do this, how do we not stay stagnant? Well, we need to get curious. We need to get scrappy. We need to get building. We need to test. We need to split test. We need to fail faster. We need to really just soak all of this new age systems to build something great, right? So step is learn one tool, just one. Think of anything, right? So think of a very mundane task you have within your job. Go, okay, so how could I make this more efficient? How could I automate it? Where I just have to pretty much press one click and it's done within minutes instead of hours, right? Now apply it to that workflow, right? You may have some time where you're split testing. You're probably going to have to still do the work yourself just to make sure it's done properly until you develop that workflow enough where you don't need to interfere anymore, right? And the best way to learn is to teach, right? This is an old concept, right? Teach someone else, right? Create that community of people that can really build something great. So, I don't usually say this, but I do a lot of deep dives. I'm hosting some live events and etc. 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 So if you want more, do subscribe, right? Join my free web community for some free education, no pressure, just here to provide value. And let's stay ahead of this curve together. Cheers.